Namo Shri Soha, Namo Manju Shri Namo So Shri Namo Shri Soha. 也觉当作给处男来将就不度当地给组织，大给去年给别处男给，若拉边界上给主保守。觉当作给处男来将就不度当地给组织，大给去年给别处男给，若拉边界上给主保守。觉当作给处男来将就不度当地给组织，大给去年给别处男给，若拉边界上给主保守。 如给九星门头上，给绕领是你的给巴的，想给心多米的我应，若给那大心拉就把手，不如让他们打拉干的呀大呀米。Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. And think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but for numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mothers sentient beings want happiness, and do not want even a small suffering due to engaging wrongly in objects of adoption and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mothers sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mothers sentient beings would have happiness and the causes of happiness that are virtues. May they have happiness and the causes of happiness. I'll cause them to have happiness and the causes of happiness. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassions, thinking, how nice it would be if the bodies of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from a class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as physical pain, sickness, and harms caused by 4 elements. May their bodies be free from the discordant class. I'll free their bodies from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the class discordant with the conflicting virtue, such as fear, mental suffering, and all coarse and subtle negative discursive thoughts. May their minds be free from the discordant class. Oh, free their minds from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the class discordant with the conflicting virtue, all coarse and subtle negative speech, such as lying. May their speech be free from the discordant class. Or free their speech from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the class discordant with a conflicting virtue. May their three doors be free from the discordant class. Free their three doors from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtue. May all sentient beings be free from all suffering and the causes of suffering. Free all sentient beings from suffering and the causes of suffering. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms? I should take on the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms. Even though I should take on the responsibility, I do not have the ability to do so. Who has such ability? Only those who have achieved the perfectly complete enlightenment, the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all other sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve this precious state of enlightenment.
사실 사람이 공부하다가 샤워 세분서 봤더니 나도 네가 다 이쪽은 공부했지 대단히 이제 뭐 공부하는 거 나와서 문제도 지금 대단히 잘 있어요. 네가 다 이쪽은 들리고 어제가 그 생각이 나봤지 그래서 무슨 나봤지 안 되는 거 세지야 있어.
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind, the aspiring conventional bodhichitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. These transform into the aspects of a complete mundis at one's heart. And the ultimate bodhicitta, which is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness, all phenomena like inherent existence. These transform into the aspects of a white five-pronged vajra on top of the mundis.
이게 지금 너분이 이제 지금 뭐 지는 차트의 팀이 지금 좀 차트의 팀이 지금 좀 다 걔는 되는 거죠. 다음은 이제 더 진지되는 좀 어찌와 temamento leșeva ciusă de majibă de cibi cele de so au sunt dois cum ciusă.
So next we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates are not inherently one. If they were inherently one, they would become inseparably one. If they were inseparably one, faults would follow, such as it would be pointless to assert a self. Self would arise and disintegrate. Self would become many. It will be unreasonable to remember past lives. Karma one has done would be wasted. one would meet with karma one has not done.
차례들만 매매 되게는 조금이 되다 보니 뭐이 기대 답이 가고 아마도 시주도 동안이 사업도 좀 지겠어.
The self and the aggregates are not inherently different. If they were inherently different, they would become unrelatedly others. Thus, the self and the aggregates are neither inherently one nor inherently different.
어디에서 있다가 쉬는 것이면서 무슨 계속 간지 싸우나 다시서 80도 명이 비슷해 가지고 정말이나 앞에 되는 화서 내스는 예수도 도마 통해서 진비 무엇을 만나지 그런 주제는 예상보서 시작하다 예수님 가지고 동해를 저와다 이와도 된다 이 치도 이 사파파가 정말 조진 비만이 예상보서 제와이나 어디에 가서 계자디 이 진비 가지고 나는 그랬어.
As we always say, it is very important to conjoin the roots of virtue of our three doors with the practice of six perfections. And by conjoining the roots of virtue with the practice of conjoining roots of virtue with the practice of six perfections is superior, is supreme, and there is nothing superior to this. Thus, to conjoin these roots of virtue with practice of six perfection, the first one is generosity. The nature of generosity is a mind of giving. These 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma is for the sake of achieving happiness and purifying sufferings of all sentient beings. If I'm able to cause this mind to appear, manifest, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of generosity.
특수비서라면 무엇인가 특별히 무엇은 이렇게 다 주님이랑 한다. 우리가 그 이제 벌써도 뭐지고 그 보면은 내내서 그 제발이나 대가서 내서 그 집에 계자데 어떻게 되냐는 생각이었어.
Next is morality. The nature of morality is a mind of abandonment. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal misdeeds so that they do not manifest.
그 세고도 간다 두비 심바도 세고 무엇만 나시 아 간다 예상 그 집에 가서 내세는 등에다 강에 갔다 거라 그 그것도 되는 수업 아니 예상 그 야부 집이나 어디에 가서 계자데 그 수업 받는 거 그랬어.
Next is patience. The nature of patience is a mind that is undisturbed, immovable. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will patiently accept any physical or mental hardships and suffering.
더 진리셔서 간다 기와가 또 있으면 진리시 무엇만 나시 예상 그 집발아 가와다 어떤 진리 좀 많이나 어디에 가서 계자데 그 진리시 받는 거 그랬어.
Next is joyous effort. The nature of joyous effort is a mind that takes delight in virtue. I will joyfully and enthusiastically engage in the roots of virtue of listening, contemplating and meditating on the Dharma.
那上帝的了，谁给明白了最基本明白的，那上帝是我所嘛那些，他讲的，就是你赢了，他讲的经济下吧，离婚比那个一样的，你拿到那也看，拿到帮忙着，他讲的给小的了，也上过去去给小的了吧，谁能也都会呢？那第一个是给他的，那上帝把这样的事情认识。
Next is concentration. The nature of concentration is a mind that single-pointedly focused on any virtuous object. I will single-pointedly focus my mind on these roots of virtue without being influenced by distractions, such as work and family matters, and other discursive thoughts.
也就是讲的，学了之后的，学了不能比这个的，学了就我送不上心。当我是脸上不是几个是，去的他肯定是那把，人家是把商务要不等于，人家会比信徒过去，信徒嘛老把去，信徒过去听不赢了。那第一个是别的学了就是两的是没得事。
The last one is wisdom. The nature of wisdom is a knower that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. I will properly and unmistakably understand the words and meanings of the teachings that I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on. If I'm able to cause all these minds to manifest gradually or respectively, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of six perfections.
也就是些不能要不教了，先生就看见这个上帝是恐怕都把理解了，那讲的当地去适应的，将来自己的经历生下来恐怕都是啥都是不能要不学习。
Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I'm going to listen to the holy teachings and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
哎呀，那有，我估计写到讲的，我这的台上工作也忙着，我还是一点的，那这边现在没进步的话，台上工作也忙着，我说，问题，难道当初推把钱，理解了上就把钱呢？他妈的我说不来的，那这台上工作也忙着我去，娘的一切都为呢，那爹娘的，我的娘的比大不大啊，一样大吧，人生的电脑，日本天然有吧。我的差不多的，那的给钱不是来差不多。
It is very important to practice by not separate. It's very important to practice by conjoining or combining these three: listening, contemplation, and meditation together. It's very important to practice listen to the Dharma and listen to the teachings with these three all together. First, you listen to the Dharma teachings. Then, second, you contemplate, you analyze, and you investigate. And then you meditate on the teachings. So, if you are able to practice without, if you are able to practice by conjoining these three together, then the practice that we do will be a good quality one. And then it will be backed up by a solid reason. And through our practice, we will give rise to a good result.
어디 다 가능 가서 몸지에서 몸세워다 공리대에서 된다 찍어래. 그래서 강당 가서 가는 당고만 뒤서 망치해야 되는 가서 공리대야 되는 당고요. 공리대야 문제 들어와. 맞아. 너무 퇴가 지고 다시 예. 저번에 제목이 방이 고야다 봐 지고 이래서 인디 로네 용어. 등외에서 연보랑 말이 돼. 맞아. 저번에 공부하던 나도 달란 잡았나. 이게 달란지. 저번에 공부하던 나도 달란 잡았나. 진짜 나도 달란 잡았나. 이제 좀 뭐. 대난 시리즈 다 등외에 봐. 나는 뭐에 식사.
And we always talk about doing meditations, and meditations is in terms of meaning is same as familiarization or same as habituations. So when we say meditation means habituations or familiarization. So it seems like what we are lacking of is these habituations or familiarization. In order to do meditation, in order to familiarize ourselves, then first we need to listen to the teachings. Some may say that I do meditations without listening to the teachings. I'm going to listen. I'm going to do meditations, but I'm not going to listen to the teachings. Some may say that, but then you will know that whatever that person this this saying is not true. So if it were true, then it would be like a person without arms can climb a mountain or can climb a cliff. So still, if a person without arms, then it will be impossible to climb a cliff. So in order to do meditations, we need to listen.
당가서 담보 봉지해야 돼 가서 무슨 말을 막아서 너무 지금 말을 담보 몸 지지고 그래. 다 봉지해야 돼. 지금 가서 부르지 마. 시다 줘요. 뭐 그냥 말해 가지고 가만 있다는 봉지고 좋아. 딱 개정고 시다를 또 봉지에 시작수 뭐야. 같이 자체 하나 방향就是差的我说话봉지에 시작 참조되는 도스 근데 시지고 그래. 다 달라 가서 배 너도 지에 강하게 봉지에 안에 그거 달라 디노로 봉지에 디노로 방기는 그래서 뭐 젠데 들은 거지고 다다가 또 뭐좀 박색지는 뭐 참아 봉지에 디노로 상호야 다 치가 지금
예, 가르치 있다리구나.
대죠 보면서 그냥 이름만
And before we start our before we start our classes, then we usually do meditations. So we meditate for about 20 minutes, and then this meditation is like a foundations, and is a summary that summarizes whatever that we have learned before.
당 와서 다시 야마도 공제부를 해서 너무 나지 다시 야마도 개정부 시작했어 다시 야마도 공선 당이 나지 뜻은 주자를 만다 돈번지 되는데라 예 아자 배들 선호단에 뭐야 뭐지 제부여나 근데 돈번지 되고 뭐야 뭐지 제발라 근데 다시 니가다 야마도 지금 뭐지 제부여나 아 당뭐 가르치 공부를 해서 아무 토마 돈번지 되는데 공가다 청춘 세계 주다 그거 장주의 세계 휴자 뭐지 뭔데 이 just 때마다 돈번이 되더라 상다 뭐제바이나 다 돈번이 뭐 집이가라 저기 세는 거 중요스네 중요 말데 돈번이 몸이 되더라 장주의 세 마다와 다시 야 마다와 좀 따다 뭐는 다행이 있어 다시 야 잡으면 다시 야 마다와 다시는 있어 봐 그거 다시 야 마다고 이따보지 차는 거 했어 그거 나서 돈번이 돼 공부로다 안주시 뭐야 그래도 네가 뭐도 일주일에 죄 자원이 요만 생기는 자원이 요만 다시 야마다 와지 공부를 해서 다시 야마다 보다 장주시에 도망가서 시후다 야보지고 때마다니 공부를 되나 성공단이 뭐야 보시 때만이나 또 동반이 되고 어디 뭐도 좋아이나야 장주시에도 너도 뭐도 맞으나 장주시에 심바데 다시 야마다 와 차지 마다와 차지 됐어. 다시 야마다에 보내지. 와. 같이 당에 나지. 이제서 거기 좀 안에서 갈자는 너무 싫어서 와. 그제를 못 지나 우리는 수연다. 내가 좀 해내서 와. 공지 항상 요랬어.
And it's also very important to meditate by conjoining the method and wisdom together. So in order to meditate on the meaning of emptiness, first we need to cultivate bodhicitta properly. So if we cultivate bodhicitta first, then we engage in the meditation on emptiness, then that meditations will be meditations conjoining the two aspects, the method and the wisdom. So even though when we are as a sentient beings, even though when we do meditations on emptiness, it is impossible for the bodhicitta mind to manifest at the same time. However, by cultivating bodhicitta first, then engage in the meditation on emptiness, that meditation on emptiness will be conjoined with the method aspect, which is the cultivations of bodhicitta. And that meditations will become a very good quality one. So yeah, so we must know how when we do meditations or when we do practice, then we must know how to practice them by conjoining the method and wisdom method and wisdom aspect together. So this is mentioned in Lamrim, composed by Jie Rinpoche. So how to conjoin the six perfections together, or how to practice by conjoining one with another, with other practices, with other perfections. Sorry, and this is it shows that as it can link to an authentic source that when we practice, then we conjoin it with the perfections.
我这个时候啊，到底我说哪里，我嘛，我说，什么的，凝结的，强烈色素，大半朋友了，我这个就嘛，不过的，也嘛这个就是说可以做的，我原来现在的，常常去都哪里去逛旅游了，啊，逛完这里，反正我说脸上都是这个告诉，直接就过了，原来现在就把这个告诉了，必须说可以做强烈性，可能心里边的，强烈心里边的。我说，对我来讲，接着就告诉原来这边的理，那对我呢，啊，大家拢心里边强烈性。我说我才说啊，那对，俺们都说我来，我全部学的，他说哇，你学身上我说大不了去光回来，我都是强烈的，他就说我说，我的被开全部学了强烈。
And always we meditate or cultivate loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta before our classes. And we also meditate on the six perfections, then how to conjoin the roots of virtue with the practice of six perfections. So when we listen to the Dharma, contemplate and meditate on the Dharma, and if we cultivate all these loving kindness and etc. first, then the following roots of virtue will be conjoined with all these good qualities, the cultivations of loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, and six perfections. Even when we doing practice in relation to wisdom, then since we have this, since this practice on wisdom is preceded by all these cultivations of loving kindness and etc., then again, that practice on wisdom will be conjoined with the loving kindness, compassion, and etc. as well. So it has a great purpose for doing so at the beginning of the class, and it's very important to do so as well.
我等你去找的话，当我是对嘛的，还是我是经常工作的，你对嘛的，当我是我到你对嘛的，就是工作的，做对嘛的，你用的，当我是没帮我的，你是修工作啊，那都是工作的，可是不知道你对嘛的，我去生活啊，你去生，那对嘛的是多生，那做对嘛的，知道我是都是工作去生的时候，你学在的，那看到全部外界去的话。看到可是当我说理解把你这工的，头嘛看到是说你希望你嘛，你嘛上班的，我原来刚定你啊，我原来都是人吧，这里嘛上班的，都是过来的也是哇，那我是谁的吧，那个把年轻的，我等你这些去学生吧。
So regarding these close placements of mindfulness, then the first two, the close placements of mindfulness on body and close placements of mindfulness of feelings. So especially for beginners, then is very common to do this meditation. And regarding these close placements of mindfulness, especially in relation to bodies and feelings, and I have mentioned them twice already. So yeah, like for example, in relation to the body, we think about how the body is from the outside. Think about the body from the outside. Think about the body from the sole of the feet, and then goes up or go down. So by doing this in a gradual order, so it's very important to do this so that we are able to place our mind, to set our mind.
就是可能来说，我的旅程嘛，那些公务员原则的，在年个上，图是对等到的好个结果的，旅程嘛那些公的看到，就是，旅么旅的那边呢，让去村里那些个，当我做兄弟嘛，先说多点的，旅的了，让个村的这村里去大不团的，当到旅程嘛那些的关系，也的，对公的看到，那说联系朗多人就把写起的话，联系朗多人就把写起的。对公的，旅的，让个村的这村里的你去当的，刚才旅程嘛那些的公的，是吧？让他这个呢。
So, how do we cultivate the close placements of mindfulness of bodies? Is by examining or investigating the general characteristics and specific characteristics of the body. So, by doing so, then we cultivate the close placements of mindfulness of bodies. And the purpose of cultivating these close placements of mindfulness is to engage in the objects of adoptions and the objects of abandonment in relation to the whole group.
原理看到，这当开始学在的，你那么，旅什么呀？旅这么你在让给村里是话的，看到上路当大的，旅没脏的，旅没脏的，中央的永久书记，说等你公办的，看到旅让给村里公，
你让我谈。
旅没脏的，中央的永久，他看到永久是话的旅的，看到两包的、主包的、教你说啊，等你，旅让给村里，让给村里让给我。你让我了吧，上当的关是吧？我到你让我的看到没脏啊，没脏关的，让给清理是吧？你没脏，那就可是被毛病学生一个，你的对我去念到的是念那些的是你的念到嘛，让给清理是吧？对我去念到，你的这那些是呢，可是我是毛病学生的话，我只说的让给清理关这个钱对了，是吧？但你没脏，把多多去快点不行了。你都没脏啊，你都没都不讲，现在对了吧？没对的。
So just as a reminder regarding the close placements of mindfulness of bodies. So how to think about when we cultivate these close placements of mindfulness of bodies is to investigate the characteristics, the general and the specific characteristics. So to investigate the specific characteristics of bodies, then basically when we talk about the specific characteristics is its entity, the entity of the body. So, for example, like body being impure, body being unattractive, and then in relation to this, I also mentioned many examples, such as this body is like a sickness, this body is like a tumor or cancer, and this body is like a poison, weapons, and etc. Then again, in relation to the bodies, then we think about the elements of the body, the evolutes of the body, and the evolutes of the body, such as smoothness, uh, uh, lightness, and the heaviness, and etc.
我刚才讲说，你了，你们吃饱的干，你不做的了，看到是吧？你了，你们吃饱的把多爱吃的，那你了，你们吃饱的，我说鸡蛋，我说多爱个，你不点啥的了，你这这个，你去达到的，你去医了是吧？你了，你别讲他吃饱的，你不，做的说的是吧？所以学生这样这么学嘛，其他嘛，是吧？
Yeah, and the purpose of thinking in this way is to overcome attachment, observing attachment that observe body. And in relation to this, then we also talk about the tangibility of the body. We also talk about the shape of the body, color of the body, and etc. Since we have already covered it, I will not go through it again today. So again, regarding the general characteristics, think about the general characteristics of the bodies. So in brief, is to link the basis of quality with the quality. So the basis of quality here is the body, and the quality itself, like for example, body being impermanent, body being miserable, and body is empty. The body is selfless. So by connecting the basis of quality with the quality, and this is how we think about the general characteristic in relation to the body. So just like cultivating the close placements of mindfulness of bodies, when we cultivate the close placements of mindfulness of feelings, we also cultivate it by investigating the general and specific characteristic. And the purpose of cultivating the close placements of mindfulness of feelings is to overcome the mistaken thoughts that apprehends suffering feelings as pleasant or unpleasant feeling as pleasant. So in order to overcome these mistaken thoughts, then we cultivate the close placements of mindfulness of feelings. So in relation to the pleasant feeling, the desirous craving directly arises. In relation to the suffering feeling or unpleasant feeling, the craving for destructions directly arises. And indirectly, these feelings give rise to suffering. So by thinking about the faults, these are the faults of the feeling. These are the faults of feelings. So by thinking about the faults of feelings, we cultivate the close placements of mindfulness of feelings. So from the sutra requested by Ayya Ranajunda, then one will not attach to the pleasant feeling because one has properly destroyed the attachment. And one will not get angry with the suffering feeling or unpleasant feeling because anger is properly destroyed. And one will not and one will not possess ignorance with regard to the feeling that is neither pleasant nor suffering, because ignorance is properly destroyed. 第個就係啲馬里巴當點話咪叫啲馬里巴你把做乜嘢多咯？
對嘛，在做可能今年啊，这个团结呢，没大把人个信息往西是吧？没大把人个信息往西是，同样的，做可能呢，同样的信息往西，是吧？同样的信息往西，那大点嘛，大都没吧，信息往西，那第一做了没大把7分钟，同样就做了157分钟，那就是咱们读真的人多，他更多的人就讲的是话，多了嘛是的。同样嘛，第二嘛，一做了77分，那第看到就是第二呢，没大把。懂了吧？我大都是嘛，让给真的最新的那个都是嘛上班的关系下的，是吧？那都是蛮多的时间的，是吧
？So similarly, from the same sutra requested by Ayya Ranajunda, it continue to say, so whatever feeling one experience, one should understand and experience it as impermanence. One should understand of whatever feelings that you experience is impermanent. And then one should understand and experience it as suffering or miserable. And one should understand and experience it as selfless. So one should understand that pleasant feelings is impermanent. One should understand that suffering feeling, so just as I said, one should understand the pleasant feeling as impermanent. And then one should understand the suffering feeling as miserable. And then one should understand feeling that is neither suffering nor pleasant as peaceful. So it talks about the general characteristics such as being impermanent and being suffering, and then you also talk about the specific characteristics. So this is how we cultivate the close placements of mindfulness of feelings, which is by investigating the general characteristics and the specific characteristics.
那就是刚才让去心里跟错的，大大没有多啊，是吧？让给亲戚，最亲的说的，他错，另外的不大吧？懂我的，懂我的，我懂我，另外的没懂我没有的，大没有，那就是最亲的工作机会多啊，最亲的多。我到底错了，看到谈到现在，让给亲戚最亲的工作是朋友是吧？
So the modes of meditations on the general characteristics of feelings is in relation to the pleasant feeling, one understand it as impermanent. In relation to suffering feeling, one understand it as miserable or painful, and in relation to feeling that is neither suffering nor pleasant, then one understand it as selfless. 我嘛，根本就做根本就是公大的，多多的个，看到多多的，我的，反正前几年就大的，我领导的是吧？领导的公办的，我老说领导我有公大的，开始继续嘛，就刚把去年啊，我上当大机长，那光的，反正个7万的嘛，上当大去，你做时候的我说6亿7万的，6亿7万的，哇，7万的，都是做公大的我说，领导我给托马公大的，也是托马公大的哇。 我们看的公司，但我这做研学，好吗？我们做研学，我这边呢，刚把刚听的南京我这做以后的没交不起要买，南京我说对，是哪怕他刚把他买起说的，现在做起，我这有时候了嘛都，南京的是不了做这个，现在没说嘛，我没说，他做是没说的，他是生的吧，你那把年，顶不年给他刚才等到两样的了吧，我这心里肯定都超过了吧。 是做没说，你就是这刚才他这样子心灵是差的，心灵是差的，对的，是吧？你说着，他开始就学吧，
당보 소왕 예수의 당보 소속의 앞에 당보는 뭐지나 당보기 안티네 배 소와 가는 빌레스 세테 당보 신다 지라서 마다 와지 당보 간티랑 알아 세테 세테네 소와도 아무도 맞아 소와데 대화 동안 도와줘다 랑자스 비상도 아요 말해서 당보 소와고 누가 뭐게 제버져 버리면서 소와 요다 땡디요 맞아 예수 뭐 소와도 맞아 수고 나를 열어 치게 저기 나 소와 좀 예수 뭐 말해서 그 다음부터 림바기 다서 나와라 엄디네 림바기도 안다 유모다 라샤다 뭐다 정말 림바기 다 좋아 가지고 좋아 예수는 무슨 봐 저기 인데 좋아요 그래서 예수도 그래서
So in general, to cultivate the close placements of mindfulness of feelings is by is by meditating on the general and specific characteristics of feelings. So uh, especially for beginners, so when we cultivate close placements of mindfulness of feelings, uh, the way to do the meditations or the modes of cultivations is to identify the feeling. So as mentioned in the previous class, so we identify the feelings that we have, identify the feelings of that we experience on our feet, on the sole of our feet, and then we also think about the external feelings of our bodies and etc. So the when we cultivate the purpose of cultivating close placements of mindfulness of feelings is to identify the feeling, especially for a beginner, is to identify the feelings because we do not usually identify the feelings or aware of the feeling or mindful of the feelings unless we are in a sharp pain or being cut by a knife and etc. Otherwise, then we are not aware of the feelings or we do not identify the feelings. So these identifying feelings that the feelings of the bodies or parts of the body is preliminary to the practice of home abiding, and eventually we want to achieve the mental serviceability. So in order to achieve these, in order to achieve this mental serviceability, so we need to practice of the preliminary practice to come abiding, which is to identify feelings for a beginners. So we identify the feelings on the sole of the feet, and then slowly come up, then the calf, thigh, knees, and etc. So and then at this point of time, we do not think for a beginner. At this point of time, we do not think about the objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment in relation to the feelings. We only identify feelings. So what we should do, what we need to do at this point of time is to identify the feelings or being aware of the feelings. And even though these feelings pervade our body, and usually we do not identify them. So in order to identify, so in order for a beginner, so we need to first identify the feeling.
시장 와서 간다 이 대만이 돼 소와 대만이 되는 뒤지와 나고도 대전 와서 세 대만이 이제 본세대 알아 세 대만이 이제 뭐야데 간다 세니 끼지끼지라 지바다 때도 매바다 고바 매바다 나 랑이 지외서
때도 매바
때도 매바다 가서 미라 때도 매바 때도 매바 나데 간다 랑이 진다 랑이 진와 외서 준지 차리 때도 주마 제바 매바 이게 다네 뜻인지 뭐라 제가 시에서 내가다 뭐라 제가 시다 한게 지금 봐 그런 게 지금 뭔가 되지
경기차네 때도 경미체 봐라
진짜니 때도 주마제 주마제가 뭐라 세대 와 주마제 뭐 지금 가서 다른 뭐라 제가 지금 와 어떤 게 지금 뭔가
So then the third one is the close placements of mindfulness of feelings. So again, we cultivate these close placements of mindfulness of. The third one is the close placements of mindfulness of minds. So in order to cultivate these, then we need to investigate the general characteristic and specific characteristics of the mind. So regarding the specific characteristics, of the mind, such as mind disintegrates momentarily, and mind is demonstrable. Mind is indemonstrable. It cannot be shown, or it is indemonstrable. And the mind, the nature of the mind is luminous, or is in the nature of clear light. And in terms of continuum then it flows, it continues, or it stays uninterruptedly.
我只是他开始写，他们不就把他是从确实说嘛，从那东西啊，看到的嘛，经过是吧？我的记忆里的看到，生命大把的重要的，他们吧，手关下去是吧？手关下去，到底现在个从我记得确实多，那诊所去的。
Yeah, so regarding the general characteristics of the mind, then one investigate the mind being impermanent, one investigate the mind kata same dia tungewa. Same dia tungewa ro. Yeah.
你知道吧？
Mm.
大明白。
Yeah, so the mind being impermanent, the mind being miserable, and the mind is empty, the mind is selfless.
我的是吧？到底知道开始学这，到确定把你家公司的样子，是吧？确定把你家公司的，他确定错嘛，这个样子，确实我知道错嘛，这个兴趣看看了一下我的话，确定问题是吧？错嘛，这兴趣看看一下我，那地面地些呢，那强把它理解特别到上头云的人呢，那娘是怎么下的？
强把凝结，
我想把它理解，是吧？想把它理解，上头云的你看看是娘是哪家有，是吧？恰当的。你这个人呢，他脱下了，上了班你就过来的是吧？交个钱，帮你交个钱，我就过来的，是吧？那恰当理由了，那恰当说，恰当理的啊，你这个人呢，他脱下有，不是，上班当多了，当了交个钱，你刚才强迫他理解，那强迫他理解，想就行了，是吧？就是上头有的理由的话，这里面是哪家有？恰当的话，脱下有。我对这个大环境来讲，我觉得确实嘛，要当忙不起来，但你嘛现在说嘛，甚至更加的，强到的那个话，这调整不有啊。
So then the last one is the close placement of mindfulness of phenomena. So in this phenomena refers to all mental factors, except feelings, and non-associated compositional factors. So all mental factors except feeling and all non-associated compositional factors. So when we cultivate the close placements of mindfulness of phenomena, we think about, or we investigate or we think about those types of the good qualities ones, such as loving kindness, compassion, bodhichitta. Those are the types of good quality. So those are the objects of adoptions. And those types of those faulty types, or those faulty types, such as attachment, anger, then I'll say those are the objects of abandonment, or objects to be discarded. So when we cultivate these close placements of mindfulness of phenomena, so we investigate these types of good qualities and these types of uh, faulty types as objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment, or object to be discarded. So basically, this phenomena includes many things. So, as mentioned, all mental factors except feelings and non-associated compositional factors.
我大多数的也看到，大多数的看到，你们都把了，都把怎么是吧？你们都把了，都把怎么你我跌把对，这个你不对对吧？你们都把了，都把怎么是吧？你都把了，都把怎么这个点多下去？那错很好了，台湾这边老新就老久了吧？那跌把多下去的，那谁没打把了？大半斤那个老新就老久了吧？我打跌把多下去，那缺大的没把了，大的这个老新就老久了吧？我打老电视，老电视把多下去的哇，多下的。
So in brief, in order to overcome, or in order to eliminate these mistaken thoughts, so in relation to the bodies, is apprehends the unattractive body as attractive. In order to eliminate the mistaken thoughts, apprehending suffering feeling as pleasant, and the mistaken thoughts apprehending mind, apprehending impermanent mind as permanent, and the mistaken thoughts apprehending selfless phenomena which is selfless as having a self. So in order to eliminate these mistaken thoughts, in order to apply antidotes to these mistaken thoughts, then that is a reason why we cultivate this close placement of mindfulness.
Bodhichitta ngāzu tā dēnsi nīpa tā, dēnsi nīpa yāndā pōngā sī tīrima duwa yirwa. Tā dēnsi, tā ngāzu yāmbā nīpa tā kōli, dēnsi dōsi jī cāwa yirwa, dōsi kāsi jī shūsā tā, yāndā dōsi jī shūsā duwa, yāmbā tēhi tāma nīra dōsi shūsā duwa.
So this is all about, that's all about close placements of mindfulness. So I have explained it in a more extensive manner, and then also go through it in brief as well. So that's all about the close placements of mindfulness. So next I will go to the 4 correct abandonings.
Tā ngāzu tā yāndā pōngā tā mā shīwa tā dēnsi nīpa, nīpa lā yōsu tō wē lāng, tī wā tā, tā tōwa lī shīwa lāng, tā nīpa yāndā pōngā tā tōwa lī shīwa lāng sī lō wā, tī mā chīya yī sī tā tī kī, yāndā mā shīwa tā yā sī tī nīma, yāndā tī kī mā shīwa chīwa wā, shīwa tā yā sī wā, tī nīma.
So the paths that arise from exertions, the 4 correct abandonings. So to indicate the second set refer to the 4 correct abandonings, which is the paths that arise from exertion. So in order to explain that, there is a reason for explaining the paths that arise from exertions after the paths that thoroughly investigate things. It is because having engaged in examining the things, bodies, and so forth by way of their specific and general characteristics, the joyous effort that acts to discard the objects of abandonment and adopt the antidotes arise.
Tā kāndā yāndā pōngā tā tōwa lī shīwa lāng sī lō wā, tōwa lī shīwa lāng. Tā shūtī mā shīwa tā kāndā tōwa lī shīwa, tā yāndā pōngā tōwa lī shīwa lāng tā lā kāsī yō yā sī mā shīwa tī. Tā tī lā tō mā yō tī kāndā kī chī mā chī bā chī bā, chī bā pē wā, mā kī chī mā chī bā mā chī bā, chī bā pō yī yāndā pōngā sī, tā tī shī tā mā shīwa, yāndā pōngā tā chī tā, wā.
So the meaning of the text, the subject, the paths that arise from exertion are many. So how many are they? So they are 4 correct abandonings. So these 4 correct abandonings are the correct abandonings that generate the virtuous qualities that are not yet generated, the correct abandoning that increase those that are already generated, the correct abandoning that do not generate non-virtuous qualities that are not yet generated, and the correct abandoning that abandon those that are already generated. So these are the 4 correct abandonings.
Tā tī yāndā pōngā tā lā kāndā rā mā tā chī rā mā shiwa tī mī sāng sā chī tā kō tī wā yā rī. Tā chī pā tī shiwa tī, tā mī yu tī chī tā gōng pī sū tū pā, wā yā wā sāng sā dā chī pā tī chī tī yāndā pōngā sī sā chī gī rā wā duwa. Wā tā tī mā kō bā yī na, mā tā tā mī sū bā yī na, tī ngā sū tī sī kō tā chī yā yā chī. Wā.
So next is decisive analysis or final analysis. So this decisive analysis has 8 points: objects of observation, modes of cultivation, purpose, entity, divisions, boundaries, etymology, and proving that the Mahayana correct abandonings are supreme. So there are 8 points under the outlines of decisive analysis. So if you understand these 8 points, then it will be easier for us to understand the topic, the 4 correct abandonings.
Tā tī mā jī tī chī wā tā ngā sū yāndā pōngā sī wā tī kī, ngā sū mī yu tī kāndi jī rī yé sī, tā ngā sū gōng jī yā, tā kāndā gōng jī yā tā mbō mī yu tī ngā sū rī wā, ngā sū shī nī gōng bī kā lā, mbō shī nī gōng yā mī bā tī ngā sū rī wā, wā tī ngā sū rī yā tī nā shī rī, tā kāndā jā tāng jī bā rī wā, mī bā tī ngā mā sū bā tā gōng jī yā kī yō mā rī wā, jī bā chī yā yō mā rī, gōng jī yā yō mā rī kāndā, yu chī ngā mā sū bā lā, jī bā chī sā shī chī gō rī, gōng jī na, gōng jī sā mī bā yu chī gō rī wā, wā 이 들리지 왜 봐도 공지에서 주버지선 지역이 말와 아다고 공지에게 주버지역이 유대 아니에요 미드 거리다 도마 미드죠.
So the first one is objects of observation. So regarding the objects of observations in the context of cultivating calm abiding, we need to first identify the objects of observations. Without identifying the objects of observations, there's nothing to meditate on. Your mind is not focused on the objects of observations. So in order to cultivate these, the correct abandoning, so first we need to identify the objects of observation. So the objects of observations of the correct abandoning exist because the four, the generated and not generated virtue of the completely pure class, and the generated and not generated non-virtue of the thoroughly afflicted class are their objects of observations. So there are four objects of observations of correct abandoning. So these four are in relation to virtue and non-virtue. So in relation to the virtue of the completely pure class. The virtue of the completely pure class basically refers to virtuous quality. So in relation to virtuous quality that are not yet generated, then generate it and increase the virtuous quality that are already generated. And then in relation to the non-virtue of the thoroughly afflicted class. So non-virtue of the thoroughly afflicted class in brief is non-virtuous quality. So in relation to these, then those non-virtue of the thoroughly afflicted class that are already generated, do not generate non-virtues of the thoroughly afflicted class that are not yet generated, and abandon non-virtue of the thoroughly afflicted class that are already generated. So you can see here, so there are like four factors here: virtue, non-virtue, generate, and not generate. So in relation to these four, then to generate the virtuous quality they are not yet generated, to increase the virtuous quality that they are already generated, do not generate non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated, and abandon non-virtuous quality that are already generated. So these are the four objects of observations of correct abandonings. So after identifying the objects of observation, how to cultivate or how to meditate, so it leads to the next outline, which is the mode of cultivation. So the mode of cultivation, the correct abandoning. So if we understand these the nature of the correct abandoning, then it will be easier. So the nature or entity of correct abandoning is joyous effort. So the entity of correct abandoning is joyous effort. So how to cultivate a correct abandoning is to undertake joyous effort in order to not generate the non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated. So I repeat, to undertake joyous effort in order to not generate the non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated, and to undertake joyous effort in order to abandon the non-virtuous quality that are already generated. So this joyous effort for this purpose are the modes of cultivation.
我到刚才没给钱嘛，基本没去这里种，那基本上不会去这里种，啊，你把这一切嘛基本，嘛基本基本去的，那刚才这里种的是吧？那一切基本上呀，公平的是吧？一切，这这里种嘛是。
And to undertake joyous effort to generate virtuous quality that are not yet to generate virtuous quality that are not yet generated, and to undertake joyous effort to increase virtuous quality that are already generated. So these are the modes of cultivations.
啊，对了哇，他刚才对了嘛，我说现在什么给你写是吧？我现在什么写的？他刚才基本上必须，他刚才对着多多都习惯了嘛，那一切嘛基本没基本的，基本上不管的一切嘛基本上基本上必须的，这他妈人家就明白去，也是人家就明白是吧？他妈人家就明白是吧？那我是对我们某个学者，人家就明白，那明白第一就是，明白吧？明白是吧？的是就啊是吧？明白第一就是明白吧？
有啊，
没错的吧？
别这种，
没错的吧？
嗯，
那第一就是，尊重中文说，这尊重过程啊，是允许了，允许，允许了，允许了不的。
但今天北巴得九啊那些，
我就话了，别把这句话
他
是吧？
针对那点
我尊重，
东西，
他尊重的话是我们允许了的，允
嗯
许的。那允许的，那看到尊重中文说的不，尊重哪地方说，做一些嘛，如果有啊，那看到，等你做一些嘛，尊重情况起过的，等你尊重。肯定别人公布了，搞我的周一通的尊重说法，是他听他的话，允许是吧？肯定公布了，搞我的周一通尊重说法，是允许的，咱们这是。
嗯。So in order to so in order to not generate the non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated, in order to abandon non-virtuous quality that are already generated, in order to generate virtuous quality that are not yet generated, in order to increase virtuous quality that are already generated. So first, one needs to cultivate aspiration, as it says in the sutra. So this is because the sutra says generate aspiration. So first, we need to generate aspiration or striving aspiration, and the second is make effort. So make effort is like the preparation of the meditation or preparations of the cultivation, and undertake joyous effort is the actual session of the cultivation. So make effort is the preparation or the beginning part, and then undertake joyous effort is the actual session of the cultivation. So we always when we do meditations at the beginning of the class, then we talk about the joyous effort, right? In the context of six perfections, we talk about joyous effort, and the nature of joyous effort is an enthusiastic mind. So I so this joyful and enthusiastic, yeah. So one joyfully and enthusiastically undertake joyous effort in cultivating such path.
的确是空的，是吧？尊重中深入的就不写，那就是刚刚是弄死的，弄死的，你不弄人，你不接的，别说尊重中深入的，深入的就或是他们弄死了的，弄的是那个是吧？那第一就是你那么学的，深入的就不写是对的那么学的吧？
And the sutra continues to say that strongly hold the mind and strongly place the mind. So I'll explain these two.
要尊重允许个是我就尊重中国的允许个是差不多哇，尊重中国的哇，允许个是我就就话的了，啊，人家就不教的，本身教的，我了嘛就话的了呢，尊重个是的，啊，我也是的，就是明白有的了吧，是吧？
尊重中国的尊重允许。
我们的允许我
尊重中呀，你让他帮我的咯。
我把这允许啊，
对，
让他帮我。起来，你那我这个话，我的我还是我都是人类是零八七，如果就是人类是零八七，没给钱嘛，结巴呢，我的理解嘛，结巴本身的人类零八是，那个话，人类零八，电力是本身是吧？这这我这没事的了，刚才叫了，为什么的话？为什么尊重我的话？为什么？搞我的中等的尊重，不是没事的话，没事的，那尊重送不了嘛，是没事的话。
Yeah. So one first generate aspiration to not generate the non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated, to abandon non-virtuous quality that are already generated, to generate virtuous quality that are not yet generated, and to increase virtuous quality that are already generated. So one generate aspiration, striving for these purposes, striving for this, and then one make effort. So up to this point is the preparations of the cultivation. So make effort. And the third one is undertake joyous effort. So undertake joyous effort. The nature of joyous effort is an enthusiastic mind, and then it is the actual session of the cultivation.
他生了东西是老多，他生了东西说的，人家就那上了，上了国点不有的，生了东西说的，他们说针对的，我是把的，上了班的工结果有了哇，哎，工结比高了，谁的天了，你比高说，生了东西说的，我说希望了上当过的，希望给，希望给，让给你把的没事吧，你把的没事吧，如果都呢，是吧？希望给你把的没事吧，如果都呢，大家变得归属了是吧？当然是我就是心里搞的呢，那把谁热度，他们进吧，谁热度，为了他们是希望的话说，谁太多我希望留有的话，希望的话谁太多我留过，谁热度进说的，希望给你们把的没事吧，如果都呢，你把的没事吧，如果都呢，谁就是当不热度进个也是，谁当不热度进个也是。
So strongly hold the mind is, as if you think in this way, is easy to understand. So this undertake joyous effort is the actual sessions of the cultivations. So and after these, then there is the actual cultivations. So actual sessions of the cultivations. So there is the objects of observations of these actual sessions of the cultivation. So one's mind strongly hold the mind. So one's mind strongly hold the objects of observation. So like for example, when one's mind is lax, so we talk about the laxity and excitement. So if one's mind is laxity, when one's mind is too loose, laxity arises, and due to laxity, the objects of observations become unclear. So if your objects of observations is Buddha's image, then when this happen, when the image of the objects of observation become unclear, so one needs to one's mind should strongly hold the objects of observation. So because your mind is too loose, that's why laxity arises. Because of laxity, object of observation become unclear. So in order to stop this laxity, so we need to strongly hold the mind onto the object of observation.
我这脑筋喜欢来的，我这个是现在我都我们举着的话，喜欢来的我这是太干的喜欢来的也是得用吧，这我是用的话，我这哪里个不去用吧？谁的话太干的喜欢的那个也是，我这那说哪几辈现在跟我的辈，我是边上的背上的边上各把背上的新闻也边上啥，边上各把的太干的给也不用嘛的， 당장의 기하고 이거 말이 생각도 배 쉬서와 뭐 안에 렘바지 우리 당에 렘바지나 끼네 보이 뭐 해서 얘로와 어디 이노지로 걸 간다로와 생각도 징그레 해서
So regarding these strongly hold the mind and the laxity, etc., we have already mentioned in the topic of come abiding in the rim topic. So generally, generally or commonly, when minds become too loose, then laxity arises. So, and in the Lamrim class, and we also talk about there is a example mentioned, which is the string of a music instrument. So the music instrument can be biwang like erhun and etc. So the string of a music instrument, if it's too loose, the sound will not sound nice. And if the string is too tight, again, it will not sound nice as well. So the string should be adjusted to a suitable tightness. It's not too tight, not too loose. It should be just nice. The tightness of it should be just nice. Then only it will give, it will, when you play it, then it will sounds very nice.
So the misulta that is seen rather disease this seen rather job sindua bashes on doxi rather job bashes or and that are on it you boy gobi wangi give you on the scene no in the logo to ask you what we want that go back to what they want to say no in the logo go back they want that go back to say no in the logo na that say the say now to rather job bashes say now to rather job bashes 아마 저 그것은 하자 야 좋다 뭐잖아 완전히 그거 내용 많이 들어오고 와 나 신데 신 너도 봐 다다지 하고는 예세 좋아 신 너도 나도 좀 같이 예세 뭐 뒤에 봐이나 아까다 나용을 파만 좋아 나용을 딱 그비왕에 나이 파 로드나 신 그래도 좀 예세 좋아 뒤에 봐이나 나 무슨 하지 그거 세워서 신 뭐하나 개봐 지와다 오늘은 개봐 지와 뭐요아 이번 나이 좋아 어디 아까들 대충 같다 저 같이 신내가 노소 제자를 거다 저기 보는 거와
Yeah, and next one is strongly place the mind. So this is strongly place the mind. Again, if you have studied Lamrim before, then you have a better understanding here as well. So strongly place the mind is due to excitement. So due to excitement, the mind is distracted. So when the mind is distracted, usually if the mind is distracted due to excitement, so when we talk about excitement is always like the mind is uplifted too much or the mind is too tight. Holding the mind too tight, then excitement arises, and due to which mind is distracted. So if mind is distracted, then in order to stop these distractions, so one need to strongly place the mind inward. So one needs to strongly place the mind inward in order to stop the distraction.
어디로 단도 대다된 문바제도 매도 전주 좀뭐 세라든지 세라든 요거 어서리 이게 된다는 것도 다 간다 공지하려 말 상어랑 나는 뭐 공기 문바들 마 상어가 뭐 대란에 무슨 말 시우도 와 무슨 시에도 되시로 와 아주 개치기 된다 들에 공지하기 시설로 보니 안다 보아서 아 비치 마치바 이치 마치바 빼 그래도 근데 다 된다 되고야 뭐지 Wow.
Yeah. So this generate aspiration, make effort, undertake joyous effort, strongly hold the mind and strongly place the mind. And these are done in relation to the objects of observation. So these are the modes of cultivations, right? So these are done in relation to the objects of observations. So the four objects of observations are the virtuous quality. They are not do not generate do not generate the non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated, abandon the non-virtuous quality that are already generated, generate virtuous quality that are not yet generated, and increase virtuous quality that they are already generated. So these are the objects of observation, or these are the basis in relation to which one cultivates this one generate aspiration, make effort, undertake joyous effort, strongly hold the mind, and strongly place the mind.
Bodhichitta. Yanja matali tenda yanja chi shwe yidrwa. Kanda giwa rwa, giichi, magiichi, machiba, machiba. Chiba na uwansi rwa. Magiichi, machiba, machiba. Chiba na uwansi. Tenda de, nandu tenda yanda uwan shiki nyani jindwa. Yanda uwan shiki nyani de. Jasi ki chiba, jasi chanchu sumbiki chibi ki nyani, na tsama dina wa dina kwa yeso. Yanda uwan shiki dina wa. Dina lo madiba, nyani jie yo ma resa na tiyo. Yanda uwan shiki, dina lo madiba, nyani jie yo ma resa na tiyo.
So these four correct abandonings, which are not generating non-virtuous quality, they are not yet generated. Abandoning non-virtuous quality, they are already generated. Generating virtuous quality, they are not yet generated. And increasing virtuous quality, they are already generated. So these are the four correct abandoning. So it says that all bodhisattva deeds are included within these four correct abandonings, and there is no bodhisattva deeds that is not included within these four.
Tata nga so de yanda puwa chi dang nga so to shi si ji wa, nimbo to shi wa. Nimbo to shi da yanda puwa shi bo tenda ni ji la po. Tenda ji la. Ji pa le. Da ge ba shi wa. Nimbo to shi da. Tambo ji la de nimbo to shi la tu ni le ma kha lo.
Yeah. So these four correct abandonings, in terms of meaning, is same as the four opponent powers. So we have mentioned these four opponent powers before, right? Many times. So these four correct abandonings is same in terms of meaning with the four opponent powers. So I will explain this.
Number to shi tambo dirwa nga so number sinji tambo number sinji bi to wa. Number sinji bi to. Age never la to bi to. Age is tenji to.
Never la to bi to.
Never la to bi to. Never la to bi to wa. Never la to bi to. Age is tenji to. Age is never kunde chi bi to. Never kunde chi bi to. O shi bo dirwa tambo.
So first we talk about the four opponent powers. The four opponent powers are power of regret, power of refrain, power of regret, power of refrain. The third one is power of reliance, and the fourth one is power of remedy. So I repeat, these four opponent powers are the power of regret, power of refrain, power of reliance, and power of remedy. 4R.
Nimbo to shi dirwa. Nimbo to shi bo de da ta yanda puwa shi ma re re ne. Nda ka ka li hu. Nimbo to shi tambo nga so dirwa. Bil te pe shana. Rwa. Migi wala shawa ina. Number sinji bi to. Number sinji bi to jwa nimbo tambo. To tambo de. To nimbo to shi tambo de rwa. Number sinji bi to de. Ta kanda andere. Number magi chi cheba kuwa se de. Magi chi cheba kuwa. Iri tanda chi bale mo. Number sinji bi to de. Magi chi cheba na kuwa. Cheba kuwa. Number sinji bi to. Ta number sinji bi to de nga so pe. Jusi chabu bi to ne. Jusi chabu bi to ne. Anda chato chewden cheba chabu de chewden nga so pe. Dipa so ya cheba cheba da. Ta de so shele de pe. Nyuwa jindi jindi cheba taba.
Gyaltsen tabu de wrong. Gyaltsen tabu de shawa che.
Number sinji bi to. Number sinji bi to de. Ta kanda magi wa che cheba kuwa jiwa. Cheba kuwa ne tanda ne jila kuwa che.
So the first one is the power of regret. So power of regret, same in terms of meaning, same as the second one that I mentioned, which is abandoning non-virtuous quality that are already generated. So I repeat, power of regret is same in terms of meaning with the abandoning the non-virtuous quality that are already generated.
다들 다다들 누구를 한다. 넘버 신치 또대 먹이 직접 봉하다 다다 누구를 먼저 먹이 치的제 차이 제라 디바사 차이 제라等좀就是找不机会了，就是找不，但就是找不进的地方，就是找不进入对吧？但就是找不进的먹이 치的呀嘛，对吧？都进入了，也骗着嘛，一把都进入，嘛穷手了吧？嘛穷手了，呀，骗们就手了，就是找不的，对吧？但就是找不的，那从这边去抢进了，你往进这不是吧？这大陆的是，那得那从那我马上来对不对？
你往
你往进这不是大陆的是我了，那从就是找不的结果的，对，那么是比多的，就是找不的结果的，你看到你往进这不大陆的，你毕竟骗着钱了，那时候你不要，那说等你就是嘛，这边你不要，晓得你啊，一般骗着我的。你把要忙碌我，切切碌是吧？但就是找不第一个定了，第二你把听说听不到，你往经济这不，你我个谈不起，我地方，等到的，可以去接不工啊，这样的，可以去的接不工啊，这我给你啥参照了我吧，啥参照地方些的我是吧？我当把身体不到，等到你个好的。
Yeah. So why do I say why do I say that they are same in terms they are same in meaning is because this the second of four correct abandoning, which is abandoning the non-virtuous quality that are already generated, so means that one has generated a non-virtuous quality or one has accumulated negativities. In order to abandon these, then one cultivate that one strongly regret those negativities or those non-virtuous quality. So this is how you see the connections between these two. Abandoning non-virtuous quality that are already generated, then you generate regret toward those negativities, accumulated negativities, or those non-virtuous quality that are already generated. In order to abandon this, then one generate a strong regret. So if we do not do anything about these non-virtuous quality or negativities, these negativities will increase, right? So if we generate power of regret, if we generate intense regret towards those non-virtuous quality, then it stops the negativities from increasing. If we do not cultivate, if we do not regret at all, these negativities will naturally increase. So, however, if we regret those negativities, it stops the negativities from increasing, and it can purify the causally concordant experiential result. We talk about there are different types of result as well, and this power of regret can purify the causally concordant experiential result.
他等到记了不说，那么生意做的看到了吧？那么特别多的没给去接包啊，而且别等到记了不说啊，别等到记了不的。第一件事看到养到包了，看到没给去嘛，基本没接吧，是吧？给去嘛，基本没接吧，是吧？没给去嘛，基本没接吧，包养到包是吧？他等到养到包的，他看到那么生意多，还是讲的是呢，你不拉都不对，你来搞他讲，你不拉都不对。
Yeah. So then the first of correct abandoning is not generating the non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated, and this is same in meaning with the second opponent power, which is the power of refrain, the power of refraining.
你说啊，那的大吃过的，你不拉都不多的，俺说没给吃的，没几把，没几笔吃的。20年没光的，我看到说句了，没进去的年末，是这没退的，那个年末光的，是吧？那个年末光的，这光，这个从不拿去年末多些了，那说年不拉都不多，年不拉都不多少的，你心情提吧 싸워리는 제미 이제는 아마이나 조지와스의 기본 되는 거서 당자셔 당자셔 뭐라 보서 그래서 나중에 당자셔야 돼 그래서 스스로 당자셔야 돼 랑그 니시 가요 랑그 니빠 가요 아마 아마이나 조수다 방도 전에 니 신체 니 종의 조선 사이 디바다 니 이제는 당자셔야 돼
랑기 뉴세.
오 랑그 니바 아요
음.
랑그 니빠 아요 바데 안더라 니빠 아요 그 톤이 까다 신기 와 신기 용이 주수 사인이 디바다 사인이 뭐지에서 당자셔 당자셔 어때 따다디 따다 노래 연다 보는 미치 마치바 마치바 제도 하다 그 임보디 지고요 와 어때 예 벌라도 또 따다 된다 주가 된다
So, not generating the not generating virtuous quality that are not yet generated. So, in order to do this, in order to achieve this, then one needs to cultivate and one needs to apply antidotes. And the antidotes is the power of refraining. So, the power of refraining is as if from now on I'm not going to create these negativities at all in the presence of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and three jewels. So you promise not to create these negativities again in the future in the presence of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and three jewels. So, and usually I also mentioned about this when you promise in front of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and the three jewels, how say that you are not going to create create a negativities, then one can say like this. So, however, how say, mm, mm, yeah, uh, at the best of my ability, at the best of my ability, I will not create the negativity that is complete of preparation, actual, and conclusion. So you promise in this way that in front of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and three jewels, that I will not create negativities that is complete of three: preparation, actual session, and conclusion at the best of my ability. So, and by doing so, this is the power of refraining, right? So you can see how it becomes the antidote to the first one, not generating the non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated because you have promised not to do it again.
오히려 나가나 네발라도 또다 그러와 네발라도 또다 하나 메기치 마치바 마치 포이 양다 보아 얘네 된다 찔러 보는 거와 메기치 마치바 메치 비치도와 메치 양다 보아다 네발라도 또 된다 뜻이로와 네발라도 또 되게 니바 간도 우리 당자 샤오디 나 신체 디바 토치가 신체 디바 사야 토치를 했어와 우리 디바사 토치를 했어 수수 반대체로 와 우리 당자 제보는 것이 수수가 도서 우리 제보이나 신체 디바 사가 토치 와 바다 쳐을 때
Yep. So
제보 준비 제보 답이 이번에서 가서 들러보러 와 가다 네발라도 답이 제보 준비 제보 답이 이번에 그랬어
So this, you can see the how these two are same in meaning, right? So in order to not generate, in order to not generating, sorry, in order to not generate non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated, then one needs to apply the antidotes, and the antidotes is the power of refraining. The power of refraining is you promise not to create the negativities, not to create negativities again, that negativities again. So by cultivating this power of refraining, so it stops future accumulations of negativities. It stops it stops the accumulations of negativities from in the future. It stops the accumulations of negativities in the future, and it can purify the causally concordant behavioral result.
어디에 가서 들어와 간다 네발라도 또 되지 니버를 바로 생각하고 와 근데 네발라도 또 되지 간다 제우지 신체 디버 초체 봐서 간다 시버 된지 진짜 뭐 니고 뭐야 다는 그랬어 와 다는 그랬어 와 어디 다는 그랬어 아마도 내 또디 이렇게 되고도 어떻게 맞게 보면 제가 보니 가본 와서 디시. 와.
So we need to understand the ability of these four opponent powers. So, like for example, the ability of the power of refraining is it stops the accumulation future. Yeah, it stops accumulations of negativity in the future, and it can purify causally concordant behavioral results. So when we think about this power of refraining, then you can see that it is same in meaning with the first correct abandoning, which is not generating non-virtuous quality that are not yet generated.
다들 이제 우리도 양다고 들어와.
Spiritual.
어떤 게이시로와. 게이치 마치바 치바. 마치바 치비. 예. 나 양다 어디 차도 그러와. 아 게이치 마치바 치바 양다고 대다. 아 내부근데 지로 또시. 아 되네 된다 지래. 먼저 또 시나 내부근데 지로 또요. 어디 된다 지래 있어.
So the third correct abandoning, which is generating virtuous quality that are not yet generated, is same in meaning with the fourth opponent power, which is the power of remedy.
게이치 마치바 들어와. 마치바 치바 들어와. 다음으로 게자 치는 게 간사지 요가 이나로와. 게자 치기 간사 이거로와. 게자 치는 게자 명예 비시와. zulā gīyī chī mā jīpa jīpa chī wā, gīyī chī wā, gīyī chī, jī mā jī, jīla mā jīpa jīpa chī dō, gīyī chā chī kī kānsā yī na, sū sū gī, līngwā yī sū gā gī, ngā gu nī mā nī chī chī jā bā yī na, yā, gī wā, sā rū wā, gīyī chū chī rū wā, gī chā, lī jī gu nī shā chī sā bā yī na, rū wā, yī jī gu nī, lā mā lā tē bā jī, sāng jī lā tē bā jī chī bā yī na, gī tā ngā gī chā chī bā yī na, ngā sā sū sū 게이치 마제바 줄라 제사기 옆에 니바 레우시도와 로와 게이치 마제바 제바도와 마제바 제시도와 당마서 자와니 마제바 제시도 야 제사이나 야 사도 마제바 제시도 다디 신다들이 야 우리 몸이 이거로와 당마서 배샤바나 예자 치비 강산다 와지나 달라 뭔가 로와 장기배 나군이 많이 있잖아 게자 라침부 사게 제로 지나 네 리지군의 차 와라바 제바이나 에간다 게자라 좀 사가지 아 이주고네 라마라서 바라 대바 상지라 대바 군조라 대바 어다 든디지 상당도 바이나 아 기치 마제바 나 마제바이나 내가서 줄라 제퇴야 또 이거로와
근데 이제 뭐 기자 사유나 양 이제 기자 사바사야로
아 기자 사바야 지야라요
빈이가라 자로 yeah. So the third correct abandoning, generating virtuous quality that are not yet generated. So for person
서버제 들어봐야지 그래 나한테는 마마지 버지치도 맞으러와 나라 마시고 간사 계속 상계지나 소지나 마지 버지치도 근데 저셔와 림바기디야 서줄라 림바기 샤처로 서줄라 림바기도 마지 버지치도 고마고마라 무슨 배정되는 거로 어떻게라 게자 요도 야 사바 고마고마 사바 치야지 이러와 대소자는 지고
yeah. Yeah. So for people whose roots of virtue are utterly severed, so it means that these people or these persons do not have roots of virtue at all. So because their roots of virtue are utterly or cut from the root. So for these kinds of persons, then they generate the virtuous quality that are not yet generated in their continuum by engaging their body, speech, and mind in virtuous qualities such as physically do prostration, doing circumambulation, and verbally recite mani mantra, and mentally develop faith in Buddha, in three jewels, in Lama, and etc. So by engaging by three bodies by three doors engaging in the roots of virtue, then one for these beings, so these beings whose roots of virtue are utterly cut from the root, then they generate the virtuous quality that are not yet generated in their continuum. And then this can also apply to those who have already accumulated roots of virtue, but in order to generate new roots of virtue, then, like for example, for beings who have not entered path, so in order to then they generate the path of accumulation. They are not yet generated, and this can also apply to the 10 grounds as well. They generate the achievements of first ground. They are not yet generated, and etc. So even though they have accumulations of roots of virtue, but in order to generate new roots of virtue, then they engage in the roots of virtue.
我记得哇，早讲的你莫跟着这个多的了哇，你莫跟着这个多的嘛这个记不起来了哇，嘛这个记不起的是，
你什么的念不到的哦，干嘛住？
这个我啥什么的，你晓得吗？我
那时候，
早讲的你晓得有啥什么的哇，那对给全部有的什么这样的跟我学到，你莫多些得了怕家里上了当的，早讲的我这你莫多些这样的我吃块钱。两道不往西头，等到我吃过去，我理解呢。大刚才讲了嘛，你这个节目就提供到车上嘛的时候，你车上嘛，肯定想的时候，你是说啥子啊？
That's all. So it's about time. So since I cannot finish within I said by 10 p.m. So I will stop here first, and next class I'm going to continue the explanation. So we have understanding of four open powers, and we also understand four correct abandonings. So in next class I'm going to continue the explanations on these two, how they are same in meaning.
这最主要我的工作的话，我必须努力，必须努力，但也是要当这个就常规多啥的，就是吧？当我就我就起来说嘛。
Yeah, so not much time for question and answer as well. So I'll say if you have any questions, so please keep those questions, and I'll say when we have time, then we will I'll say allocate the time for question and answer.
当我这的，我这的，那上当的我这的我这东西的我这个也是，东西的长嘛的看到的话，当我这那地方是颜色节目了，这个就是整体告诉对颜色节目就是那我看说，看到老年皮看了，小人吃光噻，我这的就是老用要不起来了，我这全球看的是在皮看是呢，不管这个全球的话，必须用个抗议呢。原来小人的经济告诉了小人，人家主要去了，我说这个是全部的情况。用完了，我用完了，刚才给了下来不是吧？那我这边老年给了了，谁小问呢？给了抗议呢？给了小人主要的，给了酒。
Lom yin de cái logic de cha de cha là.
小人主要的给了酒。第二东西，我说这个了，在墙上看到的话，这给出来我们学的是。那对了，墙上看到，这说小人差不多的，老年起来跟小人差不多的。
小人看到没有不加到位。
那个说小人，
小人
差不多的是说，哪个小人差不多的，说小人差不多的是，哪个的，你听懂吗？
不听着，我都有的。Yeah, they Friday and they don't show the culture is any day.
讲到讲出去多了，那也会有意思，是吧？这个那是的技能有意思，外面的美食的，你那可以全部查有意思。
That's right. So I will stop here, and Friday we're going to have our annual event, 1,000 offerings, or the festival of prayer. So yeah, and there is a saying in the three great monasteries. So the saying is, in order to study well, or if we were to quantify it, then in order to study a kg of books, for example. So in order to engage in 1 kg of studies, then one needs a 10 kg of backup or support. Yeah, or so in order to study well, then one needs to have a 10 kg of backup. Means that in order to study well, then you need to these backups. So you need more backups in order to study a kg, engage in a kg of studies. So I encourage all of you to come come and participate in this event. And one of the event is Amitabha Jenang. Is a very important Jenang as well. So I encourage all of you to come personally. Yeah. So these supports or these prayers or these pujas, they are the conducive conditions for oneself. They are the conducive conditions for your family members and your friends and etc. And these are the conducive conditions for pacifying those disaster and natural disasters such as pandemic in the world. And those are the conducive conditions for one's root guru. So if one's root guru has really manifest passing away, then these are the conducive conditions for the swift return of one's guru. And if one's guru is still with us, then it becomes the conducive conditions for one's guru to live to live long and good health. So I'm really pleased that you all have great attention in studying Dharma, and you all are really in my heart. You all are number one. That you all come to the class without missing any. So I sincerely rejoice in your good merit, and these prayers or these pujas that I've mentioned are we only do it once a year. So it is not many. So, and these prayers such as Toma Gyaltsen, the 100 Toma rituals, the Yamataka fire puja, and Medicine Buddha Jangwa puja, Medicine Buddha Jangwa puja. So these are very important pujas and prayers. As I mentioned just now, those are very important and conducive for oneself and for others as well. So I encourage you, whether you are a senior member, and encourage you whether you are a new member or you are you come to centers come to LMC quite some time already. So I encourage all of you to participate in these pujas and prayers personally. Yeah. So Gishala's laptop ran out of battery, so you don't see Gishala's. I think it is. That's all. Yeah. So, and this Amitabha Jenang is also very special, and is very special and important. Stop share. Yeah. Yeah. So this Amitabha Jenang is also a very special puja as well. So through participating in Amitabha Jenang, so one will receive great blessings from the deity and enable one to develop CD or accomplishment. So Amitabha Jenang, if you have already obtained it, then by participating in Amitabha Jinang again, it increases the blessings and your practice. And if you have not obtained Amitabha Jinang before, then through participating in this Amitabha Jinang, one will obtain Amitabha Jinang, the blessing from the deity and etc.
미시 가서 배 지나 시사이나 저 키는 것이 나지 가서 너 따빨리 친구 요래서 너 따빨리 친구 요래서 그때 코로나에 키는 것이나 하나 부지 상에 한번더 심하게 받는데 야보시나 했어. 예. 부지 상보다 미세기시 야보시나 했어. 가서 너 따빨리 하나 친구 요래서 너 따빨리 가서 지존이나 가진 좀 못하고 됐어.
And from whom we receive a jenang is Ken Rinpoche, Kopan Ken Rinpoche. So, and every year we invite Ken Rinpoche to host the 1,000 offerings or the festival of prayers here in LBC. So, and we have established a strong Dharma connections with Rinpoche, and the good quality, the compassionate, the good qualities of Ken Rinpoche is inexpressible. There are so many, and that they are inexpressible. So, and especially Ken Rinpoche is very kind to LBC, Losang Drapa Center. So we conclude with dedication. We dedicate these fruits of virtue accumulated especially through this Dharma discussion. We dedicate these to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and happiness of all sentient beings in general. And we also dedicate these fruits of virtue to all upholders of Buddha teaching to live beyond, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live beyond long, to have good health, excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all 10 directions. And in particular, we dedicate these fruits of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who is very kind to us. So may the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche be swiftly returned and continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of teachings and sentient beings, so that we will have the opportunity to receive the profound teachings from Rinpoche again. And we also dedicate these fruits of virtue to the world peace. May excellent happiness prevail in the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, pandemic, diseases be pacified immediately. Sabeke wadi tendang joa kun la kan bendang cheba jesu lo sang chaba ye den be ni mo rin do se je jo jang ju sen jo rin bo je ma ye pa na ki gyu ji yang ba me ba yang ko ne kon do pe wa sho yang be ba we ji da ken ba dang ko do sang bo de yang de jin de da ku ki je so da lo je ni da tang je ra do Tong yi da wa rin bo je ma ye pa na ki gyu ji ke ba nyang ba me ba yang ko ne kon do pe wa sho Itawa Rinpoche Maki Panang Kishuji Kiba Nyama Mebaya Kone Kondo Pewa Sho Nije Sungdo Jobe Lan Chiche Sese Kanchen Tendu Gyun Chana Pimo Tenzin Gyazo La Songwa Teso Tushe Lunjo Sho Kade Pende Paluba Kane Jungwe Sampe Yijin No Kadin Sume Tenzin Gyazo La Songwa Teso Tushe Lunjo Sho Tane Tenpa Kese Nyeran Zo Lo Sang Gyawe Arse Kyoba Je Rajan Shinge Kyayu Madube Tenpa Tube Gele Sho Yoso Zobe Tute Rinpoche Sheda Tube Zitzin Pewa la ta yang mi shu su be ko jia jian su me ji zhen la ma so wa de de ma lu ju wei ko ji bu ge wei de da ma jiu de wa yi de la ji du zhen ba zhe be mo no ma xi wa xi de ye ra ba ju ne ge zu jin la da ge se da ge tu ge la bu ji tu me de be yang do sa be san ge sa tu ji be do yu xie shuo ge ra wei ko wei xin ga de be na de wa ma lu ju wei ne jie le se wa de zhe jia zhe ya be si de ba de yu bu ji